Good evening, everyone. I said good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today, October 5th, 2022, we're starting at 5:37 this evening. Let me say it for you again. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. I'm excited to be here this evening. Tonight, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some things that America doesn't like to talk about, and how it relates to Local 1000, and how it relates to the fact that this union that I belong to, this union I was duly elected to be the president in the year of 2021, this union is a reflection of America. Tonight, we're going to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. And I'm going to call people's cars tonight. Oh, yes, I am. Because I'm Richard DeReal. And I told you about me back in 2015. I tell the truth. And sometimes the truth makes people uncomfortable in this great country. In this great country, we have some character flaws, some of it due to racism. Why? Because racism is attached to money. Money. Capitalist America. Money. And we're going to talk about why they're trying to run me out of office and how it relates to what Governor Gavin Newsom just did. It goes back to money. But racism, prejudice, they all run into a party called the political party. And it's about money. The haves and the have-nots. And I'm not politically correct. I say things you don't want to hear sometimes. I'm like your daddy. I'm like that crazy uncle. But when things get tough, you run to daddy, you run to your crazy uncle and say, hey, I need some help. And that's why God sent me through Jesus Christ. That's why I'm here. And I have not lost faith in the God that I serve. Does that mean that you have to serve a God? Absolutely not. I'm not telling you to believe in God. I'm not telling you that you have to believe in God through Jesus Christ. I respect you for who you are and what you do. Because I'm not going to judge you. It's up to you to figure out how to get to the afterlife. That's not my calling. My calling is to help you get money in Local 1000. All state represented employees of Local 1000, 730 different job classifications. I'm here to get you paid money. Now, I start my Zoom at 6:30. And I always tell people, come early, come in the middle, and come at the end. Because I'm always doing different things, but I keep repeating myself. But sometimes I say things at the very beginning I don't say in the middle of my videos or at the end. All right? Now, you've been seeing me post for the last several days about Juneteenth. You probably think, oh my gosh, Richard's angry. He's black and he's angry. You know what? This time I am angry. I am angry tonight. And every black person in America should be angry tonight if your state is not honoring Juneteenth with a paid state holiday for state employees. Every state should be angry. And not just black people, but white people too. Let me say this here at 5:40 tonight. I want every white person to be proud to be white in this country. Yes, we have a terrible past, but every white person, I want you to be proud to be white in this country. Okay? I can be proud to be black. I can be outspoken as your, quote, elected Local 1000 president in the year of 2021, even though they're trying to kick me out right now. But you as a white person, you should be proud to be white. Period. Those who are not white, Latino, Asian, from Africa, from Europe, be proud of who you are. Be proud of your family. Period. Is my family the greatest family on earth? Absolutely not. In my mind, they are, but they're not. But they're my family. I stand by my family. Stand by your family. You say, what does that have to do with Local 1000, Richard? I'm going to tell you what it has to do with it. Stand by your union. Even in our good days and our bad days, don't quit your membership Stay by the union. Stand by your union. We have something special coming up at 6:30. Don't leave or come back. The person's coming on Zoom. Aren't you glad you tuned in early? I've been going off the last few days on Twitter and on Facebook about Juneteenth not being an additional state-paid holiday for the state of California. Do you remember when I was elected and I went up to Lassen County to fight for jobs while under a signed contract at CCC, California Correctional Center? Remember that? Last year, we did a rally on August the 27th at the state capitol. Do you remember? We were fighting for jobs, union jobs, while under a signed contract. And I was told, don't go up to Lassen County because those white people don't love you. They don't respect you because you're black, Richard. I went up there anyway. I don't care what color you are. Because remember, how did I win the election in 2021? A lot of white people. Never heard that before, have you? I didn't win with black support. I didn't win with Latino support, Asian support. White people put me in this position. I've never forgotten that. And since I have not forgotten how I got here, let me remind those who voted for me, who are white, again, be proud to be white. Because I have not forgotten where I come from, or where I came from, or where I come from, however you want to say it. Because before I came to the state of California, before I could run on 3 tries to be the local 1000 president of the largest public sector union for state employees in the state of California, before I could do all that, I was born a black man. Okay? From Missouri. I'm a black man. You say, well, I don't see color first. Let me tell people who say that. That's an absolute lie. They put it down in our job applications. When the police pull you over and they identify you by your race. Let me tell you why I'm so angry. For this governor to say that state employees are not important enough to have an additional paid holiday so we can unify our country is an absolute lie. Let me say it for you again. For this governor who walks around acting like he's God's gift, acting like he's the great savior, let all the illegal immigrants come across the border illegally. We have room for you here. Don't worry about it. You want to have an abortion? Come to California. You want to be transgendered as a teenager, as a child, and your mom and dad don't support you? Run to our country, our state, and we'll protect you. So we're the sanctuary for illegal immigration that violates our rules and regulations on coming to America, disrespects those who come to America legally. If you want to have an abortion, that is your right to choose, ladies. I'm not fighting you on that. But California is now the abortion sanctuary. He's quick to tell people that. And he's quick to tell people that transgender issue. If you want to be transgender, that's your choice. If you're being raised by your mom and dad and they tell you something different, I'm staying out of it. That's your family, not mine. But yet, he's doing all this sanctuary stuff, but for state employees, he has no sanctuary for you. You said, well, wait, the Juneteenth is to show respect to black people of the enslaved African, of what he and she went through coming to America, and their descendants, Richard. I know that. But I'm tying it back to Local 1000. This governor, and the election's coming up here in November the 8th, if I'm correct. Trust me, when I get my ballot, I'll do a live video. Will I be voting for this governor who didn't give Juneteenth? Well, wait a minute. Why would I vote for a governor who couldn't even love his own race? Those own white people in conservative Lassen County, he had no love for them. Close their jobs down. I'm not worried about them. Let me tell you something. This is why they call me Richard the Real. If a person would treat his own people who look like him, who come from Europe like him, if he'll do his people like that, what do you think he'll do to somebody who does not look like him, who does not have shared values, who do not come from the same continent as he or she does? He was going to close those jobs down. They were still saying they're closing the prison down. I pray to God that prison does not close. Hold strong, Lassen County. But if he does those people like that, why would I vote for him? Why would I want to give this man any money? Why did we even, as Local 1000, give this man $1 million to the SEIU State Council last summer on June 2nd to help him fight his recall? When this man demanded we give up 2 days of pay for 2 straight fiscal years. We did 1 year, then he cut it loose. He stopped it. When he never had to take our money to begin with. Why did he do it? Because he's selfish? Possibly. Because he's arrogant? Possibly. Because he was born a rich, wealthy white man? Possibly. Because he just doesn't care about you? Possibly. Because he's emotionally detached from reality? Possibly. 2 days of pay. Now he's trying to close the jobs at CCC and other prisons as well. And he'll close your jobs at DMV as well if we don't fight him. But yet, are we going to vote for him? I'm not. We'll get to that more later. I'm asking all of you, if you're thinking about voting for this person, a person that took money from you under a signed contract, he'll do it again. A person that's trying to take jobs away from state employees, luckily for you, many of you are not employed at CCC. And then you say, where's our essential worker premium pay? He's nickeling and diming you on that issue as well. But he walks around like he's some type of great man that's going to run for the White House. Not with my support, he's not. So you probably think that I'm mad at white people about this particular white man, or a man who just happens to be white in a position of power, not signing off on Juneteenth. Let me tell you something. I'm not mad at white people. I'm not going to hold white people responsible for what this one particular man who just happens to be white. Wrong black person. But I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call him out. Is Local 1000 calling him out? Absolutely not. Local 1000 thinks he walks on water. That's why I'm having a special board meeting tomorrow to give him another $1 million. If I'm wrong, then put the board meeting out on Facebook and let us know exactly what you're talking about concerning more political spending that violates what the people wanted when they elected me as president on my 10-point platform. I told you, I'm on tonight. I'm on tonight. I got a lot to say. That's why I started at 5:37. You said, well, I started at 5:37 because 5 and 3 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. What is today? The 5th of October? 10 and 5 is 15. You think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy at all. I know exactly what I'm saying. I know exactly what I'm doing. Now, am I crazy because I'm still so passionate? Sure. Am I crazy because I'm one particular African American who made it to the top that stayed true to the black community? So you thought tonight I was just going to bag on Gavin Newsom about him not signing off Juneteenth. And as a black man, I'm so offended. Oh no, I'm going to talk about some black folks too. Where is the black people in the state of California? Why haven't they said something to Gavin Newsom? Where are those African American leaders in both houses? Why aren't they not calling him out on this nonsense? If he had been a white man who was a Republican who did this stunt, trust me, it would have been a whole lot of stuff going on. But they give him a pass because he's Democrat. No. You don't own me, Democratic Party. And yes, I am a registered Democrat, but you don't own me. Local 1000 doesn't own me. SEIU International in D.C., they definitely don't own me. And like I told you in the past, for those who are watching right now, let me send a message. You'll never see me wearing purple. The only time you see me wearing purple is when someone from my childhood says, hey Rich, purple up. Let's go win this game. then I put purple on. Because I know that they're with me and I'm with them. You say, what does all that mean? Trust me, sometimes I talk in symbols and codes. When I see certain people come on here, I know how to send them a message and say, hey, I love you. Hope you're doing good tonight. I ain't forgot where I came from. I have a way of sending people messages. Let me send this message to everyone here in the state of California. Where's the black outcry over the fact you won't recognize Juneteenth as a paid holiday? Governor Gavin Newsom. And you think you're going to get black votes throughout the country? Is that what you think? Where's the outcry? If I'm a white person, I'm like, well, why is Richard so upset? No, the other black people, you're not saying anything. Everything should be good, Richard. We don't see them marching in the streets like the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement, Black Lives Matter too, that's the whole phrase. Was that really about social justice, or was that a political movement? You tell me. You tell me, since you're so smart. You always find out about black people where their heads are at when it's time for the money. Remember I turned down that salary stipend money? That told you then I was true. People laughed at me for turning down that money. But back to Gavin Newsom. Where's the outcry of African Americans in the state of California over what he just did? He's saying, oh no, we're not going to make this an additional paid holiday. You can use your personal holiday credit of 8 hours to cover that day. Let me tell you what he just did. Let me tell you what he just did. What he just did was divide blacks and whites all over again. Because black people, real black folks, that understand the importance of Juneteenth will take that 8 hours or anything else they have, or maybe they'll be sick that day, I don't know. But they won't work on Juneteenth. A real one won't. You don't have to work, you don't have to play rap tunes or wear your pants sagging and act like you're playing basketball all fancy to be real in the black community. Oh no, those ain't the real ones. Okay? But white people are not going to take Juneteenth off. They say, that's not for me. St. Patrick's Day is for me. Every day is for me in this great country. How do white people know that? Look who's on the dollar bill. Look who's on your money. Enough said. Okay? Who's on the face of the money that you spend? I ain't seen no black folks. They did put Harriet Tubman on. I thought they were putting her on, and then they didn't put her on. How does this relate back to Local 1000? Because he's dividing us all over again. He tells you, quote, we're all in this together during the great pandemic. I can't tell. Where's our essential worker premium pay? Because we didn't put the pressure on him, because they're trying to remove the person that was fighting him to ensure that all of us in this union, whether you're black, white, Latino, Asian, it doesn't matter about your sexual orientation. I was fighting for all of us equally. But he told you he doesn't even care about his own white people. So how can I expect him? See, I've been waiting for this. I've been holding this back for so long. So long I've been holding this back. When I saw Governor Gavin Newsom on how he was going to treat white people in Lansing County because they're Republicans, because they're conservatives, because they look at things differently than how he looks at it, he can't respect them. And he says, well, you tried to recall me. That's what you do when you don't like somebody. You don't do an HR 1 and say, well, we're going to make these false allegations about you and try to remove you from office like that. Local 1000, Annika Walls. No, we're going to recall you. That's through the people. You got voted in by people, you can get voted out by people. And so he got mad at white people in Lansing County. I hope Lansing's watching tonight. And I watched that. And I said, if he'll treat them like that, then I know as a black man that was born and raised in the state of Missouri, I ain't got nothing coming. And I was right. But I kept my mouth shut until he showed his hand. He doesn't care about black people in the state of California, Governor Gavin Newsom. No, he doesn't. He doesn't even respect the person who put him on. That incredible black man, the Honorable Mayor Willie Brown. He doesn't respect him. So how can I expect him to respect other black people? He won't. And he just showed his hand. And now, when Juneteenth comes around, you see a lot of black people missing from work that day. But white people will still go to work that day. See, that's called deep division. That's how it relates back to Local 1000. Local 1000 sends you emails every couple of days about, let's get a great contract. How can you get a great contract when the person you're negotiating with is prejudiced? How can you get it? You can't. And I feel sorry for the white people in our union because you have all these minorities in your union as well. You say, well, Richard, that sounds revolutionary, what you're saying. Is it? Then why are those other unions getting great pay increases, but Local 1000 can't get it? Because you have a lot of minorities in this union. In the engineering union, you don't have a lot of minorities. You have a lot of white folks. CHP, a lot of white folks. CCPOA, a lot of white people. Oh, you thought I was just playing tonight. Bargaining Unit 2, the lawyers, case, a lot of white people. Never looked at it like that, did you? See, I have to hold back and hold back. And when people say, oh, you're making it too racial, Richard. No, I'm telling you, as this president that was elected in 2021, this is the truth. This is the truth. And it's unfortunate how other black people in a position of power and influence in this state are not saying not one word. Because they've been bought out, they've sold out in the Democratic Party that I belong to currently. Just imagine if this had been a white Republican governor saying, no, we're not going to observe Juneteenth. You said, well, how many states are observing it right now? Thank you. You got that right, I'm real. About 21, 22 states are observing Juneteenth with a paid state holiday or legal holiday. 22. Check this out. For those who are my history buffs, and I'm going to tie it back to racism, then I'm going to go back to the money and back to Local 1000. Of those 22, 3, including my home state of Missouri, 3, let me make sure I get this right, Missouri, Virginia, Georgia, and Texas. 4 states. 4 out of the, quote, 13 Confederate states. 4 out of the 13 Confederate states. Paid holiday, Juneteenth. How the heck is California letting my home state of Missouri outdo you? When we know about all the racism in the state of Missouri, the great state of compromise, the last state to enter the Union as a slave state. Dred Scott, that horrendous case. How you letting Texas? Now, Texas is different because Texas was the first to observe Juneteenth to begin with because June 19th, 1865, that's where it started. When the Army General Granger went down there and told the slaves, hey, you're free. Fair enough. That's an exception. How is this governor who says I am a social justice warrior a Democrat? Let me dig deeper here. If you want to come on video with me on Facebook, put the text in there and I'll let you come on. Let me go deeper for you. In the state of California, the governor is, quote, the head of the Democratic Party. In this state. Who's the head of the Democratic Party nationally? He's in the White House. President Joe Biden. He said federal holiday in the year of 2021, I believe in June, for Juneteenth. Governor Gavin Newsom is so arrogant, so full of himself. He's such a narcissistic individual, it appears. He's going against the president of America, who's also a Democrat. Think about it. Hi, I see you. Hi. He's going against the president of America, who's also the head Democrat across the land. What is Kamala Harris saying? What is that sister saying? Or is she multiracial today? She hasn't called and said, Gavin, what the heck are you doing? She doesn't care. Let's go back to how it ties to the Union. When Juneteenth is observed in 2023, it won't be an additional state paid holiday. Black people won't come to work, and white people will. That keeps us racially divided. They say, well, Richard, it costs so much money. When we give out additional state paid holidays, it's so much money. Really? It's so much money? Well, how much money did it cost to bring the enslaved African over to America and to work for free all of those years to build this great country? How much money did that cost? How much? And you smart people know? You realize that slavery was anti-union. And by him not observing with an additional paid holiday, Juneteenth, what he's really saying is, I am not for unions. I am for free labor. And I'll take from you anytime I want to. He could have asked for 4 days for a whole fiscal year. And this union, prior to, quote, me being elected, would have gave it up. Oh, I'm on fire tonight. Because people say, Richard, you talk about race, but tie it back to the union. Tie it back to the money. I am tying it back to the money. We should have an additional state paid holiday. Then you say to yourself, well, Richard, why would he do that? I don't understand why Governor Newsom wouldn't give out Juneteenth as an additional state paid holiday. We have nearly $100 billion in surplus that they tell us about. I'm going to tell you why. Because he wants to run for president of the U.S. And what he's trying to do is curb those white Southern voters. He doesn't have to do anything for any of these unions. Listen to how I said this. He doesn't have to do anything. I thought we negotiated. See the power difference? He doesn't care about none of these unions in the state of California. As long as he can tell these union presidents what to say and how to think, except for Richard Lewis Brown. I don't play those games. That's not what you elected me to do. He doesn't care about these unions. He'll take and keep taking from you. Do you think you're going to get a substantial pay increase? Remember, people say, Richard, it's not about you, it's about we. We put me into office. I am your voice. So when I say I mean we. When you say we, you mean Richard. I'm going to see if I can make this clear cut for you tonight. Yes, we're being used and abused, and he'll keep using and abusing us. Racially, financially. Remember, the smart people in the union, they make so much money, they don't feel like they need a union. While the rest of us suffer. It's no different in the classroom. The smart kids get the teacher's attention. The teacher always calls on the smart kids. Like they need to be called upon. Like they need extra help. God didn't create us all the same way, but it's the love in your heart to want to go out and help others less fortunate than yourself. This governor wasn't born with that. That's not in his spirit. You can look at his slick back hair and how he talks. Well, hi, I'm Gavin Newsom. Dude, you were born wealthy in the state of California. And you refuse to recognize black people as being your equal. You say, was Juneteenth that important, Richard? Let me tell you something. Let me give you an inside track on black people across America. Yes, we love us some Malcolm X. We love Dr. King. Oh, yes, we do. Love us some Harriet Tubman. Some like Reverend Al Sharpton. Some like Reverend Jesse Jackson. Some go back and say Medgar Evers, Benjamin Banneker, Frederick Douglass, W.E. Du Bois, or Du Bois, however you want to say his last name. But let me give you an inside track on black people. When it comes to that Juneteenth, we're dead serious. What do you think Black Lives Matter is all about? It's the fact that the enslaved African has never been treated with fairness and respect, even when he or she was set free in this country. There is no Black Lives Matter without the slaves coming from Africa, the enslaved African, to this country. And then they had to do a civil war where so many people's lives were lost over slavery. Some people say, well, it wasn't about slavery, it was about state rights. That's right, it was about money. The South wanted to continue to run them slaves for free and make their money. They didn't need a big federal government. They were actually right. They didn't need the federal government. They could make it on their own. Off free labor, though. You say, well, what's the big deal about Juneteenth, Richard? How does it relate back to the Union? Because it's being used to racially divide this Union. Think about it. What Black person do you know who's outspoken and direct? Oh, it's me, Richard. Well, they're trying to run me out the Union. This is part of that. We don't want Black people that we can't control. Now, when the Republican Party says that, the Democrats get bent out of shape. See, this is one white man, the Republican, talking about his brother, the Democrat. And he's saying basically, yeah, I may be a little prejudiced and I don't believe in affirmative action and I'm going to give you hell to make you prove to me that you're worth it. My brother says that he thinks you're worth it, but my brother is lying, the Democrat. And that's what we got going on right here when they don't allow Juneteenth to be recognized. But it's a slap in the face of Local 1000, the largest public sector union in the state of California, because we have the most minorities and the most Black people in that union. That's how it relates back. And that's a slap in my face. Now, I don't mind being slapped in my face because I'll slap back. Righteously, with love and respect, of course. But you're not going to push me around. Where are all these Black folks in the state of California? Why aren't they speaking out? They were marching, Black Lives Matter, marching at the state capitol. I don't see no marches now over this issue that is the beginning of everything. There will be no civil rights without the Civil War. And I'm not blaming white people for this. I'm blaming one person who just happens to be white. And his name is Gavin Newsom. He could have easily made this an additional state paid holiday. Bam! And both houses would have signed off on it. But no, he doesn't give a doggone about Black people. He never has and he never will. He showed his true colors. I don't know how Black folks in this state is not going off right now. We respect the great Cesar Chavez. Oh, yes, we do. And you said, well, we have the Dr. King Day, Rich. We have the Dr. King Day. Really? Dr. King lost his life. How many slaves lost their life trying to escape for freedom or to freedom? How many? So one particular Black man that you can't get around, that the whole world was in love with. So you gave that day. And that was under great protest in many of these states. Remember, Arizona didn't want to give Dr. King Day, and the NFL actually did its job and said, you don't want to respect Dr. King? We won't be coming to you for the Super Bowl. Money. Money, money, money. And it snapped Arizona. This is about money. He says he can't afford to give up this state paid holiday. He's an absolute liar. To his face, I'd call him that. There's always money in this great country. They can print billions upon billions and send it over to Iraq, Afghanistan, and anywhere else up in space. They'll print money whenever they want and justify it. But when it comes to the American people, they keep us fighting among ourselves, financially, racially, through abortion rights, through homosexuality, the issue of homosexuality in this country. They keep us divided. That's all planned. Well, it's going to be fun tonight. We will have somebody coming on here at 6:30. Oh, before someone even asks me, the former president of Local 1000, Yvonne Walker, she didn't quite pull it off. So they're having a runoff. She didn't get 50% or more of the vote for the retiree seat, so they're having a runoff between her and a Randall chick. So all the people who watch who are retirees, if you voted for Randall chick, You have to vote for him again. If you voted for Tim Barron's, you can vote for Yvonne Walker, or you can vote for Randall Cheek. I was asked about how I feel about her running. I said, listen, anybody who retires from the state of California, I want you to live your best life and get every dime you can from CalPERS. Get every dime you can. Take care of your health, because you know you pay for it. So she'll have to run again. I wish her the best of luck. I wish Randall Cheek the best of luck as well. Let the best person win that election. And you don't have to worry about them being removed from office through an HR1 process. They don't have that silliness at the CalPERS board. In fact, when you're on the CalPERS board, you can tell somebody to suck a dick and still keep your job on the CalPERS board. Sure. Back to Gavin Newsom. So he doesn't want to give him an additional state paid holiday. Should that be part of our contract? Should that be part of our next contract? Let me tell you something. Anybody black in this union, and I'm calling you out. I am calling my other black boys and girls out. No disrespect, sisters and brothers. I'm calling you out. If you vote for this contract coming up, and Juneteenth is not an additional state paid holiday, don't call me. Don't look for me for nothing. Don't tell me about you proud to be black. No, you're not. See, I know how to call people's cards. A lot of these so-called black folks tell you they so proud to be black, and they got Black Lives Matter signs, woo, 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 woo. It ain't in them. That's a front. That Juneteenth better be in our contract as an additional state paid holiday. You say, well, Richard, you do a lot of talking. Oh, I've been waiting on that. What time you got? 6:14? Let me wait till 6:15 so that adds up to 21 so I can drop this on you. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more. When the clock says 6:15, I'm gonna drop this on you because I'm a real one. And you don't find many black people who get to the top that keep it real. You know, maybe I should be in a rap video, turning it up on TikTok, where these young folks do. Is it 6:15 yet? Somebody say, hey, it's 6:15. Because this evilness that this governor is doing is out of control. Somebody's got to call him out on it. Somebody's got to make him accountable for it. Up 6:15. Anybody black in Local 1000 that votes yes, oh, it's 6:16, I got 6:15. Okay, I see you. That votes yes on this next contract, and it doesn't say in there that Juneteenth will be a paid state holiday? Anybody black that votes yes on that? You a sellout. You a sellout. If you think you got it in you to come on my video tonight or on any video in the future and dispute what I said about you, I want you to bring your ass. Yeah, bring your ass on here and get some of this. Oh, wait, hold on, white people. You thought I was going to be yelling at white people tonight. Oh, no, you just heard me tell black folks bring their ass on my video. Oh, wait, Richard, what are you doing? I'm trying to unify the union. That's what I'm doing. You thought I was just going to yell at white people tonight. Oh, no, I told you earlier. You should have came earlier. Has Local 1000 condemned what he has done? No. They support everything. He can go out, he can come to your front yard and defecate in your front yard, and Local 1000 be right there and say, can I wipe yourself? Can I wipe you, Mr. Newsom? Can I wipe your behind for you? I am not a hypocrite. I'm a real black man, mama's black boy. UAW, Local 2350, when they got their new contract in October 1st, 2021, 14% pay increase over 3 years, guess what they got? Oh, I made sure they didn't have to ask me for anything because I'm a real black man. I said, oh, you getting Juneteenth? Oh, yes. Yeah, let them come on and tell you, oh, yes, Richard did that. Don't get, I'm fired up tonight. Told you I'm angry tonight. I'm angry tonight. Our staff has Juneteenth as a paid holiday. And I always praise God. I say, God, don't ever put me in a position of power because some black folks Some black folks talk that talk, but they can't walk that walk. I know I can. I was raised right. You say, well, what kind of family did you have? Well, I had Negroes. But more importantly than those Negroes who were pursuing excellence in my family, I had colored folks. I had colored people in my family. And they knew how to raise a child. Let me say this for you again. What Gavin Newsom did was basically tell black people, you're not my equal, I don't respect you, and I'm going to cause racial division within Local 1000 and the state of California. What he did was, he told the head of the Democratic Party, President Joe Biden, I don't care about you making Juneteenth a federal holiday. I don't care. I'm better than you. I'm more than you. That's what he just did. And Local 1000 will not call him out. And then you wonder why I said some of the leaders in this union are racist and prejudiced. You wonder why I said that. Here's a clear example. They're following another person who's showing his prejudiced ways. You say, well, are you sure Gavin could possibly be racist or prejudiced? I know it for sure. Juneteenth, the recognition of what the enslaved African went through. Before you can have civil rights in the 60s, before you can have Black Lives Matter, before you can have the civil rights legislations, it came from Juneteenth. It came from the Civil War. And for any person to not understand that is a problem. And when he says he couldn't afford it because of financial accountability or financial measures, that's an absolute lie. How much money did slavery make for America? And for him to say, black people, you don't have a sanctuary in this state. If you come over here illegally, you have a sanctuary. You can work and be exploited, which is also anti-union. We'll let you come over and be exploited. We'll let you, if you choose as a woman to have an abortion, women control their bodies. I support that. But you can come to this state because this is a sanctuary state for abortions. If you're a child and you want to be transgender, you can leave your family, run to this state, and then the government will take over and protect you and go against your mother and father, and you're not even of the age of 18 yet. But for black people in this state, there is no sanctuary for you. You were born here legally. See, we came over here legally. We are descendants. Our ancestors came over here legally. They were bought and paid for legally. But there's no respect for you in this state. You don't need, quote, the Rodney King situation to be reminded of that. You don't need Mr. Grant. You don't need the situation here in South Sacramento, Mr. Clark. You don't need those situations. You have this right here. Back to the union. This disrespect is a reflection of what some of our Local 1000 leaders are doing because of their racism and their prejudice about who you put in this office. It all ties in together. Oh, you said, well, how can they be prejudiced, Richard, when the former president was an African-American woman? Yes, she's an African-American woman, but she never fought the status quo. And you know that, and I know that. See, some black people are allowed to get to the top because they're not going to rock the boat. I rock the boat. And you don't understand that right now. Just like many Americans did not understand the great Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X. And many of them didn't understand Dr. King at the time until they took Malcolm and Dr. King from us. Okay. So it's 6:21. We're just getting started tonight. Now, for those who come early, I start the Zoom at 6:30. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to start early on Zoom. I have a special guest. His name is Randall Cheek. He's running for the retiree seat on the CalPERS board. And so I'm going to let him get started early. We're going to start right now on Zoom before 6:30. And then at 6:30, I'll have him take a break for a moment. And I'll tell the people on Zoom we start a little bit early. And that's why I tell people, I start Zoom at 6:30, but I start Facebook earlier. But tonight, I'm starting both early. So without further ado, Mr. Cheek, are you there, sir?
I am.
Please, the floor is yours.
Well, first I want to thank you for inviting me in. You were preaching, so I brought my church background in with me.
Okay.
The wonderful Wendell at Trinity Cathedral in Sacramento. And thank you for the introduction. As some of you may know me, I was the SCIU 1000 lobbyist for a number of years. I did work for the former president, who was always good to me.
Okay.
And I am being also endorsed by, just to let you know, not just Mr. Brown, President Brown, but Annika Walls and Mr. Hernandez.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Cheek, can I get you to speak up a little bit? If not, I'll have to repeat what you're saying for those on Facebook. That's why I talk loud.
Oh.
Can you turn up your volume a little bit so everybody on Facebook can hear you?
I got to get into my settings.
Okay, take your time. So everyone on Facebook, he's saying that he's glad to be here tonight. He used to be a former Local 1000 lobbyist. He says he's being endorsed not just with my support, but he's also being endorsed by, I believe, Annika Walls and David Jimenez, if that's correct.
That is correct.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
So, I am being endorsed by both Annika and David Hernandez, who are very good people also.
Okay.
And I want to thank them for their endorsements.
Everybody on Facebook, Mr. Cheek said he wants to thank Annika Walls and David Jimenez for their endorsements. They're good people. Go ahead, sir.
Can everybody hear me? If you're having problems, just let me know.
Okay, so, all right, so everyone on Facebook, if you can hear Mr. Cheek now, put it in the text, and then I'll be able to see it.
There we go.
Oh, okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you for letting me speak. As you know, this is an important election because CalPERS was a firm with $500 billion in investments. And since the last few years, I know we've had a downturn, but even though it's the largest public pension in the country, it's 87th out of 100 public pensions in performance. Right now, we've had some issues with how they're investing our money into private equity. Some of you may not know this, but private equity companies buy other companies, private equity firms buy other companies. They liquidate all their assets, they fire employees, and they do away with their pensions. I think that's immoral for a public pension system to take pensions away from other hard-working people.
One quick question, Mr. Cheek. You said that, how large is CalPERS again?
It's the largest public pension system in the country.
So everybody on Facebook.
It used to have $1 trillion. It's lost a couple $100 million since then.
So I want everybody on Facebook to hear this. Mr. Cheek, Mr. Randall Cheek, he's running for the retiree CalPERS seat, said that CalPERS is the largest public pension in the country, but yet, out of 100 pensions, we're only ranked 87th.
And the year before that,
okay,
we were dead last out of 100. And let me give you a comparison.
Okay.
CalPERS spends $1.2 billion, $1.2 billion on outside investment firms. CalSTRS, which is a large pension system for teachers, spends about $300 million. A few years ago, CalSTRS, the teacher system, made 27% in returns. What did CalPERS make? The larger system, 21%. Recently, we've had the downturn. We all have experienced downturn. But yet, CalSTRS only lost about 1.2. CalPERS lost about 6.1. Now here's the difference. CalSTRS made a concerted effort to bring more of that business in-house. In other words, more state employees being hired by the state of California. CalPERS, on the other hand, has made an effort to outsource many of the jobs, including some of the actuary jobs and other jobs. If I'm elected, I'm going to guarantee you that I will push to bring more business in-house.
Everyone on Facebook, what Mr. Randall Cheeks said is powerful. He says if he's elected, he's going to push to ensure that more state employees are hired at CalPERS and to slow down all this outsourcing. Go ahead, sir.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And on top of that, we have a group of executives who have no real incentive to make CalPERS returns better. And I'll tell you why. Because they get bonuses no matter what the returns are. Just recently, at the last board meeting, Marcy Frost, who's the CEO of CalPERS, who was hired a number of years ago, who, by the way, lied on her application. She said she had a college and getting a master's, never stepped foot in college, not one day. Now, if you or I, as state employees, have lied on our application, that's almost automatic termination. But what does the board do instead? They raised her salary to $500,000 a year, and they just gave her over $150,000 bonus. That's more than most state employees make in a year. She got a $150,000 bonus. And I said, hey, if you want to see how I compare to some of my opponents, go to the CalPERS forum, which you can get at calpers.ca.gov, and you can see the forum. It's still online, and you can go to YouTube and see it. Mm-hmm. You will see the comparison I made to what CalPERS is doing and my opponent. And bless her heart, we have differences, and this is one of our major differences. I do not believe they deserved an A. That was what the grade she gave them. I gave them a D. And the reason I gave them a D was the horrible returns. They've lost a lot of money because they've made some major mistakes. They had a chief investment officer investing our money into companies and firms that he had stock in. And the board kept it secret for a while until the organization I'm with, RPA, exposed him. He had to resign. And after he resigned, he went to a big Wall Street firm, and guess what? CalPERS did business with that firm, selling some of the private equity that they believe is the hottest thing around at 90 cents on the dollar. 90 cents on the dollar. They took a huge loss. CalPERS has had horrible investments in real estate. And you can look at where the old Sacramento Union was on Capitol Mall. They lost millions and millions and millions of dollars on that. The other one that I think you ought to look at is look at the long-term care. I don't know how many of you have long-term care programs. You may not, but I have the long-term care program. And we were led to believe that there would be some sort of settlement that would help us, because I'm at that age now. If I go outside and get long-term care, it's going to cost me a lot more money. Well, what they didn't tell us, because we kept getting these nice letters, oh, the settlement's going this way.
Join the meeting.
That way. Somebody asked a question?
No, sir. Go ahead. I'm listening.
The settlement that was agreed upon was basically thrown out. And you know why? Because we were not led to believe that if you only had 10% of those who stayed with CalPERS long-term care. We were told that if only 10% stayed, that whole settlement would go out. Now it's back in the courts. It's going to be not settled until middle of 2023, but we're still paying much higher premiums than we did when we started. In fact, the premium cost of long-term care at CalPERS, since it started in 1998, it's gone up 900%.
Hold on, wait. Everybody on Facebook, I want you to repeat what you just said about since 1998. Repeat that again, sir.
So since 1998, long-term care program at CalPERS has gone up 900%. That's how much more they're charging than when they did in 1998. A lot of people said we could get lifetime benefits, get all these wonderful things, and soon we get notices. Well, you either can go for 6 years, and back to 2 years. So they changed the formula so that whatever, you're not getting what you used to pay.
So everyone on Facebook, let me repeat what he said, because someone said the fans on, they can't hear. I don't know why that person's phone doesn't work better. Mr. Randall Cheek, who's in a runoff election with Yvonne Walker, because no one got 50% or more of the vote for the retiree seat for CalPERS, he said since 1998, there's been a 900% increase in long-term care, and the settlement that was supposed to be worked out is back in court because somehow there was some confusion and it got thrown out, but now it's back in court and won't be settled to sometime in 2023 over long-term care. Go ahead, sir.
What that means is that there's anywhere between 60 and 120,000 retirees out there and others who have the long-term care program who are sort of up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen. We need to get this fixed. And I know that there have been very little, you know, for a fact, that the board made this information.
Hold on 1 second, sir. I don't want to cut Mr. Randall Cheek off. Somebody just put something in the comments on Zoom, and I have to acknowledge this. Someone says that the former President Yvonne Walker put in her statement that she's bragging about creating the other post-employment benefits that serve CERBT deduction for retiree health care, and that how that's basically horrendous. I strongly agree that we should have never started that OPEB to begin with, because retiree health care was guaranteed unless a union decided to, quote, negotiate it away. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Chief.
Well, I can tell you that state retirees at one point got what they call 190. In other words, when you retire, you got 100% of your health care. Your spouse got about 90.
Okay.
And now that was negotiated by the former president in 88. You now pay 20% more for your health care.
And when did that, okay, so everyone on Facebook, before we had 100% guaranteed retiree health care.
It used to be, years have changed. It used to be, when I first started, it was only 1 year. Then it went to 10 years. Now it's 20 years that you have to put in the system where you get full health care paid.
Right, okay.
And that's happened over the years. I bought that when I was with 1,000 as a lobbyist. But now it's gotten worse. It's gotten longer and longer and longer. And then the former Governor Jerry Brown, then also, I just see that Ed said it's 25 years, so that it's changed again. But
Okay.
let me just say this. He also forced folks to pay their own health. I mean, you have to pay your health.
All right, so wait. Let's go back for a second because I want people to understand this. Years ago, you had to do, they kept extending the years to where it got to the point where you could get 50% of your health care paid at 10 years and then 100% at 20 years. What year, now it's 25. What year did it start for 25 years? What year did that start in? 2013 or what year?
It had to start after 2016.
All right. So everybody on Facebook, sometime after year 2016, now you have to do 25 years. So if you got employed with the state after 2016, now you got to do 25 years to get 100% of your health care.
Not 100%, 80%.
80%.
80%. That was changed.
So, okay.
It used to be 100%.
So,
in other words, CalPERS pays 80% of your premium.
So what year did they change it from 100% to 80%? What year did that change come in?
That was done a few years ago.
So in 2020, CalPERS, it was negotiated, I guess, through the unions that from 2020 on, CalPERS will only pay 80% of your health care, and you have to pay 20% after you retire.
That's why you're paying into your health.
All right. So did it matter? So does it matter what year you started with the state when they made that change in 2020 about paying 80%?
If you started with the state, there's a law called the California rule.
The California rule, okay.
Started is they have to give you that benefit of when you started. So if you started back in the 90s, then that would be as new employees come along, the goalpost is changed.
So what I'm trying to find out is, I don't want no one to call me and say, what year did they apply the new rule of only getting the state only paying 80% when you retire after 20 years, versus you getting the full medical paid for. So did it start in 2016 or 2017, 2020?
I believe it just started in the last couple of years.
Okay, so anybody who was employed after, anybody who was,
the last time you guys went into commercial.
so that was in 2017. So anybody who came to work for the state after 2017, that's when that new rule is going to affect those people.
Yes, that would be true.
And you said that the former president, Yvonne Walker, helped negotiate that. Was that in the last contract? The current contract that we're on?
That was in the last contract.
All right. So the current contract we're on is January 2nd, 2020 to June 30th, 2023. And what Mr. Cheek is saying is, in that contract, the idea of getting 100% of your health care 100% of your health care once you retire after 20 years is no longer there. Now it's 80%. So if you came to work for the state, I want to say in the year 2020 or later, you won't get 100% of your health care. Local 1000 needs to really see, by them trying to remove me from office, Mr. Chief, I would have all this information, and I was getting ready to get to the pension situation after I did my last PowerPoint presentation on February 23rd, 2021 about the grievance situation. And I was going to talk about those pensions because it's kind of confusing for people. And people are confused over this money because they're not being given the straight facts.
Well, your pension cannot be changed.
The retiree part for health care when a person retires,
Now that's different.
that's different.
And it was Jerry Brown that pushed for paying healthcare costs. He was the one that pushed that. In fact, I got into an argument with one of the staffers, because if you're, you don't invest until you have at least 5 years of CalPERS, right?
That's correct, sir. 5 years in CalPERS, that's when you're vested.
Before that 5 years, you get all that money back.
Yes.
What happens, my argument with them is, so what if, because you get 50% at 10 years, what if an employee who's vested in CalPERS, not vested like in his health care, what happens to him after 10 years? Does he get that money back?
No.
Exactly, and that's why I said that was unfair.
So everyone on Facebook.
I tried to make that argument.
So, right.
Governor's staff.
So I don't. Can everyone on Facebook hear what Mr. Randall Cheek is saying? That's why I keep repeating myself because it's important what he's saying. With that OPEB, when that OPEB started, and remember, it started not just in this contract. They had put it in their prior contract. When the prior contract didn't even cover that part yet. Okay, so people on Facebook can't hear you, Mr. Chick, so I have to keep repeating it. And what he was saying was he was against the OPEB to begin with. Because if you put money into it, you can't get the money back.
If you leave before.
If you leave before you, okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Now,
So that was a problem I had with it. It was just basically ignored. Let me get on to what about this CalPERS and what's going on at CalPERS. We have a system there where I believe we need to set up an Inspector General's office. Because we have things going on at CalPERS that I understand there are groups out there who want to keep it secret because we don't want people attacking our pension because we have the best pension. We do have a defined benefit is one of the best pensions out there because you know when you retire, if you retire at an age, you're going to get a percentage of what you earned during your lifetime career, right? So the way it used to work is at 55, you got 2%. You multiply that 2% by the number of years you work for the state. So if you did 30 years with the state, you got 60% of your highest 2-year salary. That's how CalPERS works. So that's a defined benefit. It's like Social Security. You know what you're going to get when you reach a certain age with Social Security. They tell you, they send you the forms and say, this is how much you're going to pay. CalPERS is basically very similar to what you get in Social Security. If you have any questions, just let me know. But what we want to make sure is we want to keep CalPERS strong, and we want to make sure that CalPERS is there for future retirees as well as the current retirees. I don't think by keeping things secret and hiding things that you make CalPERS strong. I think that the CalPERS board in the last few years, the last 2 or 3 at least, has been going into what they call closed session. And they've been doing business in closed session that technically should not be done in closed session. It should be open to the public, and the people should know, what are you doing? The only thing you would put in closed session would be, and you have a board, so you know this, you put personnel matters, and then you can put proprietary information, or in some cases, proprietary information about legal cases that are being sued.
So everyone, hold on, Mr. Cheek. I'm going to stop Mr. Cheek for a moment because I want to talk about what I want to talk about, and then I'm going to come back to Mr. Cheek. But I want to recap that Mr. Cheek is in a runoff with our former president for the retiree CalPERS board seat. Only retirees can vote for this. If Mr. Cheek can pull down the same votes he pulled before and pull the votes of Mr. Tim Behrens, those people who voted for Tim Behrens, if he can pull those votes, he has a chance to beat Yvonne Walker. He also states that he's been against this OPEB, this 3.5% OPEB deduction that's wreaking havoc on many of us who are trying to live paycheck to paycheck. Other post-employment benefits, quote, to pre-fund your retiree health care when our health care was already guaranteed. And he also stated that the CEO of CalPERS, Marcy Frost, lied on her employment application, which, if we had done that, we would have been terminated. That's been reported in the news, but somehow she still has her job. And I believe, Mr. Cheek, you said that she makes $500,000 a year in salary?
Correct. And she just got a $150,000 bonus.
And she just got a $150,000 bonus. And then Mr. Cheek brought up this. And then I'm going to go into my spill. Then I'll come back to Mr. Cheek. He stated that the former chief investment officer was sending investments from CalPERS into companies that he had relationships with. He ain't the first, nor will he be the last, unless we elect people like Mr. Cheek to stop this madness. And then finally, thanks, Bob. I was getting ready to get to that. He said the CalPERS board a lot of times tries to go into a closed session when they don't want you to know what they're doing because they're getting ready to do something that's not in the best interest of the people, which is similar to Local 1000 board of directors. Because when they're trying to remove me out, every time I try to make everything out in the open, they want to run into a closed door. And now you can't see their conduct and what they're saying. All right. Now, Mr. Cheek, give me a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back to Mr. Cheek, and we'll start with him all over again, because some of you come on late. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. We started tonight at 6:30, but we started at 6:21 on a Zoom call. Tonight, I've been going in on Gavin Newsom. Governor Gavin Newsom, he does not respect or love or respect black people, period. Well, I'm not the only black person that tells you this, because I'm the only live, real one you have in the state of California. If these other black folks in California, if you really about that business, you was about that business on the Black Lives Matter movement, okay. But before you can have Black Lives Matter, before you can have civil rights protests, you got to go back to Juneteenth. The freeing of the enslaved African, him and her, in that great civil war where so many lives were lost on American soil. So when they had the Revolutionary War to say, we want to be independent from England, they had to have a second war. Actually, it was a third, because you had the Mexican-American War, forgive me, history buffs. And then you had to have the Civil War. And when Governor Newsom says we can afford to give an additional state-paid holiday, that's racist. What he's doing is separating black people from white people, because real black people who have pride in who they are will not work on Juneteenth. And when he says we don't have enough money to afford to do an additional holiday to give respect to black people, really? How much money was made off the enslaved African in building this great country? How much money was made? But yet, none of these so-called black leaders in this state have the courage of their convictions, or more importantly, they don't love who they are enough to call out this governor. This governor, who calls himself a Democrat, has just gone against the leader of the Democratic Party across the nation, and his name is Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. Joe Biden found it important enough to respect black people in this country, to acknowledge that they didn't come over here as immigrants or as indentured servants, that he said, we're going to make this a federal holiday. And before someone says, well, you have Dr. King, Richard, stop complaining. Dr. King lost his life. How many slaves lost their life trying to find freedom? How many? Too many to count. This is a way to divide Local 1000. Remember, hi Elizabeth, remember, we have the most minorities of any union in this state for public state employees. He doesn't care. How does he not care? Because he's already shown you he doesn't care, because he was going to take jobs, and he's still trying to take the jobs from the white people in Laskin County. So a white person that's willing to take jobs from another white person, I know as a black man, I have nothing coming. What he's doing is saying, Local 1000, you're not important enough. Oh, by the way, get that president out of there, because he stands up to me. That other president, who just happens to be an African American, she does what she is told to do. Thank God Mr. Randall is here tonight. A real man that's going to make a difference on the CalPERS board. Someone that's going to challenge and ask the questions and bring things out in light and not keep things secret. But back to Gavin Newsom. Let me tell you something. Any of you so-called black folks in the state of California that votes for this man to be the governor again, you a fool. You are an absolute fool. He doesn't respect you. If this man had been a white man who was with the Republican Party, they would have called him a racist. They would have demonized him. They would have had protest marches. But because this white man is a Democrat, and because the Democratic Party has these so-called black folks bamboozled and deceived and hoodwinked and tricked and manipulated, they don't say a word. These so-called black folks in the state of California. Don't get it twisted. I still love my black boys and girls, these black women and men in the state of California, because I love myself. But sometimes you got to call out your own. Now, you've been hearing me calling out these so-called leaders of Local 1000, some of them who happen to be white, who I know are prejudiced or racist. I've been calling them out all along. But now, I'm calling my own out. How do you not recognize Juneteenth? It's a federal holiday established by a Democratic president. I thought Democrats fell in line for the governors across the nation trying to support this president. I thought wrong. Or did I think wrong? Because too many people have told me that this governor is narcissistic, he's self-centered, he's only worried about himself and no one else. And those people who have called and told me that, you're right. And so, yeah, we have tonight Mr. Randall Cheek, and I didn't tell nobody ahead of time that he was coming. Because I tell people, watch my videos, watch them early, watch them in the middle, and watch them at the end. Because I always give you something you never had before. Mr. Cheek says, Richard, Annika Waz and David Jimenez, they support me. I said, well, I'm glad that they do. I have no respect for David and Annika because they're trying to remove me from office. However, they have the intelligence to support Mr. Cheek, whether it's political or not. It's not political with me. I'm about the money. Mr. Cheek is about the money. Randall Cheek. If you have any friend who's retired from the state of California and you say, maybe you should vote for Mr. Cheek, I would say, yes. Am I going against Yvonne Walker? No. But I am going against that OPEB. And Mr. Cheek has just said he's not for OPEB. He never was for it. That wins me over real fast. And it is a travesty. Let me say this, and then we'll go back to Mr. Cheek, and he'll go through his spill all over again for those who came in late. For this governor to act like he's God's gift, that he's a sanctuary leader for people who want to have abortion. And ladies, if you want to have an abortion, it's your body, you call the shots. He wants to make this a sanctuary for illegal immigrants, which is anti-union, because people come over and they work illegally, that hurts unions in this state and also across the nation. But he doesn't mind people coming over illegally and being exploited. He exploits us. And then for those who are transgender, they're young and their mom and dad say, we're not going to allow you to be transgender. He's going to allow them to run to the state and get protection against their mom and dad. A violation of family rights. But yet, when it comes to respecting black people, forget it. Forget it. But you thought that I was just going to talk about him tonight. No, I'm going to talk about everybody tonight. This is wrong. If you're planning on voting for this governor, you're a fool. You say, well, what can Mr. Brian Dolly do? I don't know. I'll take my chances with something I don't know versus taking my chances with a person that took money from me while I'm under a signed contract. Remember, he wanted 4 days for 2 straight fiscal years. I see you, Timothy Bolter. I'm on the Democrats tonight. Because you know, Tim, and I know that if this man was a white man who was a Republican, they would be on a protest march around that Capitol about not honoring Juneteenth. So before you can say it, let me say it for you, Mr. Tim Bolter. This is wrong. And these black folks in the state, in positions of leadership, the NAACP, the Urban League, hold on a second. They're showing you who they are. What I'm going through in this union, have they called and said, brother, what's going on? Why are they trying to run you out the office? Why are they telling you to suck dick and eat a dick? Because we know that's racist. Have these so-called black leaders done that in this state of California? They have not. They have not. I've been given more respect and love from those in Lansing County than these so-called others down here in Sacramento and the rest of California. But you thought I was just going to bag on white people tonight about racism. No, I'm going to call everybody's. Woo! I'm going to call you out tonight. Gavin Newsom, are you a racist? Can't quite prove it. Are you prejudiced? Oh, I'll put money on that. You don't respect black people. You don't respect black people. You would rather have 100,000 women come over here to California for abortion, because you can make some money out of that probably. But when it comes to respecting black people and looking at America's past, America's original sin, and saying we must address this so we can unify our country, you don't want to do that. And as someone told me up in Lassen County, Gavin Newsom starts the fires and then he tries to come back around like he's saving you when he's the one responsible for the fires to begin with. When he stopped the firefighters inmate program, the #1 program to rehabilitate inmates in firefighting across the nation. He doesn't care about that. And neither does Local 1000. Has Local 1000 come out and condemned him for this? No, and they won't. You wait till I win this position, and I'm back in my position in Local 1000. Boy, you just wait. You just wait. And a lot of you have said, why do you always make things about race? Because this race and this money or politics, they all fit together to protect those who have all the money. I'm fighting for you to get a 21% pay increase. Mr. Randall Chief's going to fight to ensure that we stop investing in all these private companies. He's going to make his voice heard on the board. And hopefully they won't try to run him off the board the way they ran off Margaret Brown and J.J. Jelinczyk. This is racial about him not observing Juneteenth as a paid state holiday. This is a slap in my face. He thinks that I'm not aware of this. Yes, I am, Gavin. Where's your essential worker premium pay? Remember when I was going to work every day? And they said, Richard, get us that money. And I was putting all those petitions together. Yolanda Williams, thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for the leadership. Put all those petitions together, and they still don't have the money because he doesn't love you. He doesn't respect you. He probably doesn't even respect his own family. The only thing Gavin respects is money. You think about this. We all have fallen short and made mistakes in our lives. And I'm not trying to judge no one, because I don't want no one to judge me. But when you purposely, intentionally will not recognize Juneteenth as a state-paid holiday, then you're basically saying that the lives of those enslaved Africans and all of their descendants don't mean a damn thing to you. That's what you're saying, Newsom. And these other black people in the state of California who are staying quiet because the Democrats control you. And then you wonder why some black people within the black community walking around with their pants sagging with gold in their grill talking about, I ain't gonna sell out. I'd rather act a fool, say the N-word, demonize black women, and do all this other stuff, and go to prison than sell out the way these other so-called black folks have done. You say, well, why do black people sell out so much? Because they're afraid of giving their life for the cause. They look at Malcolm X, they look at Dr. King, Medgar Evers, the 3 little black girls down in Alabama, and they say, I don't want to go out like that. They're not willing to pay the price to give their life. And that's why there's no black outlash, because the Democratic Party is controlling these so-called black folks in the state of California. And when the Black Lives Matter was going on, the Black Lives Matter movement, that was a political situation that the Democrats thought they could control. As long as they're in control of a black person, they don't mind you talking. Because when they tell you to shut up and know your place, know your place. Well, I don't know my place, and I am a registered Democrat, but you can't tell me to shut up and know my place. You ain't my mama, or my aunties or uncles. Make sure I put that in there too, in case they're watching. But see, some black folks, when they get to the top, they sell out. Not some, about 99 of them. But you're looking at one who did not sell out. So when I go at white people and about racism, don't ever think twice. I won't go after my own, because I will. And like I told you, any so-called Local 1000 leaders, or any of these quote black leaders, or white leaders, or Latino, or anybody else in the state of California, anytime you want to do a video with me, come on. But you don't want this truth. You don't want this righteous truth. They've taken from us over and over and over again. Local 1000, let me drop this on you. You know why Local 1000 can't get a good pay increase? You know why? Because you got too many minorities in your group. If you were in the engineering group or the lawyers group or CHP or CCPOA, the correctional officers, if you was in those unions, you get a better pay raise. But because you have blacks and Latinos and Asians, you have so many minorities in this group, they'll never respect this union because you won't fight them. You won't stand up. And so to all the white people in Local 1000, you want to make a difference? Stop saying it's not racial, because it is racial. And you're suffocating, you're suffering, and your children are suffering. All right, so it's 7:02. We're going to go back to Mr. Randall Cheek, and we're going to let him talk all over again. Mr. Randall Cheek has got into a runoff with Yvonne Walker in the CalPERS retiree seat. He needs your support for all those who are retired. If you have friends and family who are retired, you know, you may want to give a great shout out for Mr. Randall Cheek, or just go to his information. We'll check his information, and I'll repeat it for you live. This is a man of integrity. This man's going to fight, because you keep asking me, why is our long-term health care, why is the cost always going up? Because you have people on that board who don't care about you. And now, Mr. Cheek, who does care, is fighting these great odds. Mr. Cheek, give me 1 second. Mr. Cheek ain't just taking on Yvonne Walker. Mr. Cheek is taking on SEIU International. You know, that organization. And they're dumping thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to defeat the truth. And that's why you'll never see me wear purple unless you're from my childhood. And you say, come on, Rich, purple, put our purple on, we have to go win the game. That's different. SEIU International is attacking Mr. Cheek. They don't want him to win. They don't want truth to come out. And that's why Mr. Cheek is here tonight. Okay, Mr. Cheek, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Reverend.
Richard, call me Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
All right.
Like I said, you can tell if you look at my background, it's got a church background. You're right, they have spent this last go around, because they tried to win it before we could have a runoff. They didn't want a runoff. They spent about $400,000 on a CalPERS seat. And as someone who's worked on CalPERS elections in the past, generally a CalPERS seat would cost, you know, to get the word out, would be about $20,000, $30,000, maybe $40,000. In the past, let's say 5 elections, we can go back to the local government seat. We can go back to Margaret Brown and Tiffany Moran, who ran for the statewide seats. Both were vocal about making change. I believe about $500,000 was spent against them. In the last local government seat, $225,000 of SEIU money was spent. In the seat against JJ, about $300,000 to $400,000 against him. So if you add that up, you're looking at what, $1.5 million to put people on there that they feel will listen to them. And then you have Teresa, who's already on the board. And I'm not going to say that anything bad about people, but let's just face it, the board has not done any favors to current retirees and future retirees. You know, we had at one time, CalPERS was 100% funded. So what does that mean? The people who want to do away with defined benefit always yell something like, well, we have an unfunded liability. An unfunded liability means that, like CalPERS is below 70% right now. It was above 70, heading up, and now it's much, much lower. And I'll explain why that's an issue too. But the distractors from defined benefit say, well, we have this liability, and we don't, you know, if we didn't have to pay our fair share to pay off the state, for example, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor, he would say, if I didn't have to pay into the pensions, I'd have more money for education. I'd have more money for public roads. I'd have more money for, all these wonderful things that you want. And then he turned around, by the way, and tried to, what he called borrow, $2 billion. $2 billion. And this is the man who had been trashing and trying to do away with defined benefit of CalPERS. He actually put initiatives on the ballot that could have destroyed CalPERS. He wanted to borrow $2 billion. And I happened to be I was covering the meeting that day for 1,000. I sat there and I said, oh, hell no. I heard them talking, I heard the CEO at the time say, well, we've had discussions with the governor's office. And I thought, no way. I went up to the board, made my statement, and called Arnold Schwarzenegger a thief, because that's exactly what was going to happen. He was going to steal that money and never pay it back. A man who had been trashing public employees, trashing state workers, who forced state workers to go on furlough 4 days a week, or 4 days a month at one point. And then he wanted to take our money. Well, I said a few other things about him, and the Sacramento Bee happened to be there that day. They came and interviewed me and talked about how, Randy Cheek with SEIU 1000 took on the governor. Because it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, it made headlines all over the country. And 2 days later, he dropped that proposal. So, did I help? I'd like to think so. Yeah, because I don't think, I think CalPERS, when I heard that they were in discussion, I thought that's ridiculous. So, this is the type of thing that I think, this is the problem I see with the current board. I don't see them asking the right questions when the executive staff, who, like I said, get bonuses for not doing their job, when they come up and say things like, for example, just recently, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a bill that wanted to divest of Russia and Belarus, who invaded Ukraine. We know that thousands of people were killed, hospitals, schools destroyed by Russia. And CalPERS staff said, well, gosh, if we divest of Russia, we'll lose half our portfolio. And I thought to myself, that's ridiculous. How could that be true? If we have half our portfolio invested in Russia, then we're idiots. Because we know that Putin is a dictator, that Putin has his enemies either assassinated or thrown in jail, right? Even Belarus took over an airliner that carrying passengers somewhere else, intercepted it with its fighter jets and forced it to land so they could take a dissident off that airplane. This is all in the news. This has been in the news for months. And for months, we knew that Russia was going to try to invade Ukraine. And at the time, CalPERS says, we got all these investments, let's just leave them there. They own the largest shopping mall in Moscow. CalPERS owns the largest shopping mall in Moscow, which is, by the way, I hear not doing very well. Now, once they invaded Russia, we lost millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Because they didn't have the foresight or the moral ground to divest in Russia. Now, you had McDonald's and Coca-Cola and all these companies, saying, we're not going to do business with you anymore. Even Yahoo and all these other groups. We're not doing business. Not CalPERS. They don't care. They know that if they want to say, well, we've made all this wonderful money, who did you make it on the back from? It's not the CalPERS of days of old when, we had the issues with South Africa and apartheid.
Okay.
CalPERS was one of the first to come up and say, we should get out. And that helped move the needle. But they didn't do that in Russia. And we know of babies being kidnapped. We know of missiles killing people daily. We know that this dictator has, spent millions and millions of dollars to try and take over this country.
And everyone on Facebook, I want to go back to what Mr. Cheek, Randall Cheek, said earlier. We're the largest pension in America, but yet in performance, we're 87th out of 100.
That's right.
Okay. And then you also said that the former chief investment officer was sending investments to some companies that he had relationships with. And you also said that CalPERS has a tendency to outsource a lot of jobs, and you're saying once you're elected, you're going to try to ensure that we hire more state employees in the CalPERS side.
I am. Okay. I do believe that. I think that we need to cut our costs. We spend $1.2 billion on outside investment firms. Some of them who have not been given us good advice. CalPERS tends to chase whatever bright and shiny financial object is out there. I don't know if you knew this, but CalPERS at one time tried to do a home loan program. Mm-hmm. It failed. CalPERS was into hedge funds until people started saying, hey, look, you're paying these firms to manage these hedge funds, and you're paying them millions of dollars, but they're also getting about 20% of your profit. You're not making any money off of this, but it's that bright, shiny financial object out there, and now it's private equity. Everybody says, oh, you got to be private equity. They wanted to do a bill, by the way, which I helped kill with RPEA, the group I belong with.
When you say RPEA, that's Retired Public Employees Association?
That is correct. I'm the legislative director for RPEA.
So everyone on Facebook, I want people, because some people are going to retire. There's a couple different retiree organizations. So the Retired Public Employees Association, that's one organization.
That's correct.
And then there's a California State Retirees.
That's the other organization. Now the difference is
okay.
I belong to both.
You belong to both. So there are two different organizations for retired state employees. The Retired Public Employees Association, RPEA, and then also the California State Retirees Organization.
Now the difference,
okay.
RPEA also represents county, city, local governments, districts, special districts. We have police officers, firefighters, all these groups who can be part of RPEA because we represent anybody with a CalPERS pension. And we work in conjunction many times with CSR. The CalPERS, get back to, here's how they think. They wanted to do a bill that would allow them to do what they call private equity loans to these large corporations, and they wanted to keep secret who they were loaning the money to, how much money they were loaning, and what the terms. So if that company that they were loaning to suddenly defaulted on that, we wouldn't know. And we're not talking, we're talking millions and millions. They were talking about setting aside billions of dollars for this program. We stopped it. And we stopped it by educating legislators.
Who's we? The Retired Public Employees Association, yes. RPEA? Okay.
RPEA and CSR helped us.
And CSR, California State Retirees. Okay.
We stopped it. And for our efforts, we were trashed by Bob Beckner and Therese Taylor.
Hold on. Everyone on Facebook, I'm going to repeat what he said. He says the Retired Public Employees Association, RPEA, the California State Retirees, CSR, these two organizations, which Mr. Cheek is a member of both, helped stop private equity loans that CalPERS wanted to do where there'd be no oversight. And on top of that, 2 people spoke out against him when he did this. Guess who's one? DLC 786 President Teresa Taylor.
That's correct. He was very upset with us. And I'll back there have to ask the words. We still have the mortgage until January, by the way. Teresa had no opposition, so she's still back in January also.
I have a quick question about that. You said that Teresa Taylor had no opposition. When was her seat open for a contest? Was it in 21 or 20?
Sure.
So her seat, so the time to contest her seat, was the election in 22 or in 21? 22.
Okay, the new session in place in 23.
Do you remember what month she was running in her uncontested seat in 22?
I believe we filed April or May, somewhere in there.
So she ran for her uncontested seat in April or May of 2022, and because no one ran against her, they didn't mail out any ballots for people to vote on.
That is correct.
Now, hold on, Mr. Chief. Here's why I'm hitting the table. They illegally removed me from my position, and they're trying to run me out of the union. I had asked staff about her position, and they said that her seat wasn't up until 23 and that she wasn't running. So staff lied to me. Local 1000 staff, she knows who she is. She lied to me. Because we could have gotten a candidate to run against her. I've never said this until tonight, Mr. Chief. I did not know this. Because if I had known that her seat was coming up to run in April or May, I would have said, well, listen, a lot of people don't care for her. How can she really represent state employees when she's telling the local 1000 president to suck a dick? Yes, I said it. And before wait, hold on, and wait. Before you reply to that, I want the white people here tonight to hear what I'm saying. Because you thought I was going to bag on white people tonight. And Gavin Newsom. I can separate Gavin from the good white folks. Oh, yes, I can. But let me show you the quote, Uncle Tom, the sellouts within my own community. If my memory serves me correct, when she told me to suck a dick back in August of 21, the president of CalPERS board, was he a black man, Mr. Chief?
Yes.
What was his name?
Henry Jones.
So Henry Jones, a black man, African American, that sits on the CalPERS board back in 21 when Teresa Taylor told me to suck a dick, never condemned what she said. He did not hold her accountable for that racist comment. So when I go at white people about racism and prejudice, believe me, I'm going to go at my own with the same intensity, if not even more. He sat there and just said, well, I hope they can work things out. You hope they can work things out. So she's telling me as a black man to suck a dick. I just want to put that in there tonight. Because y'all always tell me it's not always racist. And what I'm telling you is her racism is reflected by what Governor Newsom just did by not doing an additional paid holiday, not signing into law an additional state paid holiday for Juneteenth. See how people of the same feathers, they all flock together? You see how that works? I'm sorry, Mr. Chief. Go ahead, sir.
It's all right. I understand. I knew Teresa for many years when I was in 2000, and actually tried to help her get elected. I think there's a situation with the ordinary. You have Rob Beckman, for example, Henry Jones, who had to resign illness.
Help. Yes.
And I wish it was recovered. But they had been on the board for many years. And one of the things that happens when you're on the board is you tend to be seduced by the staff, by the executives, and by the firms and the investment firms like Blackstone and the others. Because they go on these trips. I understand they submit numbers in hand. She charged CalPERS $10,000.
Hold on, wait, stop right there, Mr. Chief. Stop right there. Mr. Chief, everyone on Facebook, in case you can't hear him, he says that when these people get to these CalPERS seats, they get seduced. Who does that sound like? Sounds like Local 1000 leadership. And that they take overseas trips. Who does that sound like? Local 1000 leadership. Mr. Chief, may I ask you this quick question before you go on? Is there a salary for those who sit on that board of on that CalPERS board?
No, there isn't.
So there's no salary for that.
Especially if you're retired, because what happens with the other seats, like the local government seat, the state seat, you have a school seat, one of the retirees, obviously.
Okay.
And then you have two statewide seats. If you're with the state of California, you serve on the CalPERS board, you get paid the salary you receive as a state employee. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Just like you're a president of SLU, you get your salary, take it out,
Okay.
they reimburse your agency pay.
Gotcha.
You get $100 a week.
How much?
$100 per week. Okay. I don't as a retiree because I'm not on salary.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm not, and I don't do this because I'm not doing this because I have some type of ambition to be, a senator or whatever, like some folks do. And I'm not saying that all of them are like that, but I do know board members who are running for plan to run for office. But I do it because I think it's in the right way to protect our interests. And when I was talking earlier about the unfunded liability and what that means and how people attack us on that. There's a group out there called ALEC, which is very, very, very conservative. It comes up with all these template bills. They put in like stand your ground, voter ID, those type of bills. This has put out what they call a study that says that a public pension has an $8 trillion unfunded liability. That's a scare tactic. Try and scare people into doing propositions that we had quite often have that say that we're going to spend all this money trying to prop it up when that's not really the case. Now, what happens if the CalPERS comes out with what we think the mark that they have, like 7%, let's say. Okay? At 7%, they don't meet that mark, and they haven't, because they lost money. What do? They have to lower that expected rate of return.
Right.
So what happens when they lower the rate of return? Because they're not doing their job, getting the returns. You and everyone out there who's an active employee, you get more taken out of your check. Because now they have to take more out to fund the CalPERS. The state has to pay more in. All the counties that have CalPERS have to pay more in. All the cities, all the special districts, all the school districts, because classified employees are on CalPERS. They have to pay more. So when they fail to do their job, it not only brings those people who want to do away with defined benefit, it also means you're getting more of your that's why I think someone needs to be on the board that will stand up and ask the right questions, which is why I'm running. I didn't choose to run. I was asked to run by others because I'm one of those people who stand up for people, who say, wait a minute, Mr. Schwarzenegger, you're not going to borrow $2 billion. You know, I used to be the assistant to the California Veterans, and I saw cases where people were getting their CalVet loans turned down, and because they just thought, well, I had a case. I'll give you an example. I had a case where I had a veteran, a Vietnam era. I'm a Vietnam era veteran.
Thank you for your service.
Who lost both his legs in Vietnam. And a lot of people don't realize that you can get, if you're a disabled American veteran, you can get a second loan from CalVet.
Okay.
He needed, his doctor said, if you don't get exercise, and the only exercise you can do is a swimming pool, then you need to get a swimming. And he was in a rural area where they didn't have a lot of open public pools, and he's a disabled veteran. He put in for a loan, and CalPERS turned him down. And you know why? Because the director was the last appeal resort. And she's not going to overturn her own staff. I found that out. I got livid, and I went to the board, the CalVet board. We went to the legislature. We got legislation that took that away from her, gave it to the board, which is a 7-member board. Guess what? Loans started getting made again. And that's because I stood up and said, this is wrong. This is not right that a veteran who lost both his legs can't get a loan to get a swimming.
So everyone on Facebook, what Mr. Randall Cheek is saying, he has stood up time and time again, whether it was for veterans getting home loans, the CalVet, where there was the $2 billion that Schwarzenegger was trying to get. Also, he stood up when CalPERS wanted to start doing private equity loans with no oversight. 3 different times he has stood up. In addition to being an outspoken critic of the other post-employment benefits, quote, retiree health care that we should not have to do. And so he's given us 4 different instances of him standing up, along with the fact that he's trying to get the meetings to be more transparent and stop going to closed-door sessions on routine business. See, the same stunt they pull at CalPERS is the same stunt that Local 1000 is doing, is the same stunt that many of you talk about SEIU International when they're behind all this madness. Now, he won't say that, but I will. I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that, and I'm going to have to go pretty soon.
Okay.
I have to take a certain medication at a certain
Oh, no
time.
problem. Well, I'm thankful that you came on.
But I do want to thank you for allowing me to speak to all your friends and neighbors. And here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
We're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to defeat me.
Yes.
The CalPERS board members, they don't want me. Because they know I'm going to be the voice that says, wait a minute. CalPERS staff, by the way, I've gotten word from people on CalPERS staff and ex-CalPERS staff, really think I should be on the board. They're the ones that come up to me and say, we really want you to be here. The people who do the real work, in other words. Because I stood up for them when I was there. And I will stand up for everybody to make sure that you get a pension, that you get better health care. Because there are a lot of things we can do to make health care better. You know, we're the second, CalPERS is the second largest purchaser of health care in the United States. Number 2, you know who number 1 is? Medicare. Medicare. So why aren't we getting better deals? Why aren't we doing some of the things that Medicare is doing? For example, buying our drugs in bulk. VA has been doing it. Medicare's talking about doing it. We need to get our drug costs down. We need to get our medical costs down, and we need to do everything we can to do that. And I think that's where we need to go. So if you are not a retired member, but you know someone who is, reach out to them. Let them know that I'm the one who's going to speak up for retirees and active employees, because I believe in giving CalPERS jobs to CalPERS members and not outside sources.
One quick question. I'm sorry. One quick question before you leave, Mr. Chief. When are those ballots going out?
The ballots get mailed out on November 4th, and you have to have them returned by December 4th. Now, CalPERS does one thing that I have a problem with. They allow voting on the internet, and they allow voting by phone. Now, I don't know how many people voted for me on the internet. There was about 20,000 votes out of 111,000 on the internet.
Don't they do mail-in ballots too?
Mail-in ballot is the number one way.
Okay.
The biggest way. One, because you sign the ballot. The internet, I don't know. The verification, I'm not sure what their verification is, because I vote by mail. But the only problem I have with the internet is it can be hacked. And we have made that criticism to CalPERS and to the Secretary of State, that not only is this problematic, but it's under the California election codes. It actually forbids, the California election code actually forbids voting by internet or voting by phone.
Mr. Chief?
They just said something about it.
Right.
But yet, their legal counsel, Mr. Jacobs, has said he doesn't care. I think we can do it anyway. He follows the laws he wants to follow and ignores the laws that he doesn't want to follow.
Well, Mr. Chief, that sounds like the union I belong to.
So I just want you to know that I will be the voice for everybody, especially retirees. This is a retiree seat. There is a state seat. There's a local government seat. There's a school seat. This is the retiree seat, and I think it should be with someone who's willing to fight for retirees.
So I tell you what. Today is the 5th. You know, I do these on Wednesday evenings. If you think, or if you have the time, that you want to do this again with me, you know, I can meet you somewhere. We can do it in person. You know, it's up to you, because I know you have a busy schedule. But you know, I wish.
I do. And right now, I'm somewhat not able to go out.
No, that's fine. So if you want,
Right now, I'm being called by a lot of the different groups around.
Good.
A lot of the retiree groups.
Okay.
To meet them.
Well, good.
And I've done a lot of traveling up and down the state.
Well, listen.
I intend to continue doing that.
Okay. Well, I won't slow you down from doing that. We'll let you get off. We wish you success. And if you know, I do these on Wednesday evenings. If you ever want to do it again, you're always free to come on, or I can do a special day just for you. Good. Yeah, you have my number. And listen, everyone, we want to thank Mr. Randall Cheek, a man of integrity, who believes in transparency and fighting for, quote, the working people. He's not a politician. He's putting his heart into this. We want to thank him for coming on tonight. And we wish him nothing but success from November 4th through December 4th. November 4th through December 4th is the time period to either call online or vote by phone or by mail. If you are a retired state employee and you want to get better health care, you want someone there that's going to really stop all the political games and fight for you. That's not me just saying that. I'm telling you this because that's the gospel truth. Mr. Cheek, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Take care.
Tell you too. All right. So we are now at 7:36. Everyone on Zoom, if you have any questions or something to say, throw your hand up. Everyone on Facebook, if you have something to say, throw your hand up. I will address you. Yes, you will get another ballot. They should go out sometime soon here, and the time period is November 4th through December 4th, 2022. He just left. I told him thank you. So tonight I'm talking about this Gavin Newsom, the governor, and how he does not want to, quote, sign into law Juneteenth. He didn't do it, but yet he wants you to vote for him. And I said tonight, anybody who's black that votes for this man, they ain't really black. They're not part of the community, and they don't mind being disrespected. And I mean that. So I won't be voting for Gavin Newsom. Now, they've taken away our ability to vote outside the two major parties. I think they did that in 2010 or 2012. I'm supposed to have that memorized. Only the top two from the primary makes it to the general. I think that's highway robbery. But that's what the voters said. And this time they listen to the voters. See, they listen to the voters when it goes along with their, quote, program. So I won't be voting for Gavin Newsom. First of all, you're not going to take my money, and your money, and think that I'm going to turn around and vote for you. You can't pimp me out. I don't think so. Second thing, you can't tell me that you're going to make everybody get vaccinated, because some people don't believe in that. That's their religious beliefs. And luckily, we were able to fight that off. But you tried to pull that stunt, Gavin Newsom, because you think you're better than, I don't know. You think you're the best person out here and you're not. So you lost my vote on that. And then, $100 billion in surplus, essential worker premium pay. You trying to nickel and dime us on that. And you don't want to pay everyone equally. You lost my vote there. And then finally, you let me know as a black man that my life doesn't mean a damn thing to you. You don't care about me or any other black person. I don't care how many black folks smile in your face and you smile in their face. You just as prejudiced as the next white man who doesn't like black people. Yeah, I said it tonight too. So you've lost my vote 4 times. A lot of black people are going to still vote for you, Gavin Newsom, because they don't love who they are. I know who I am. I have my self-esteem. I have the respect for myself. You're not going to play me, nor will you play my people. Now, you'll play some of these so-called black folks. There's always a few black folks that want to smile and Uncle Tom their way to the top. I'm not one of those people, and you know that. And that's why you're trying to work with SEIU International and Local 1000 to run me out of office, because I'm an African-American that, quote, doesn't know his place. But I do know my place, because God put me here. You will not get my vote. Anyone in Local 1000, if you vote for this individual called Gavin Newsom, then what you're basically saying, you don't need a union. If you believe that much in him to vote for him, you don't need a union. You don't need a contract. You'll do whatever he tells you to do. Local 1000 hasn't condemned him for not signing into law Juneteenth as a paid additional holiday, because they're afraid. Are they really afraid, or do they support his decision? Because some of these so-called leaders of Local 1000 are prejudiced too. And you'll find this out when they try to run me out of the union. These people's prejudice and hatred for an outspoken black man will come out. And again, if he was a white Republican, there would be a holy war going on in the state of California. But because he's a white man that belongs to the Democratic Party says we can do whatever we want to black folks. Well, we will control them. We'll control their Black Lives Matter movement. We'll control everything about them by acting like we love them and we respect them. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. When's the last time you could trust a person that has slick back hair? I can't remember when. He's self-entitled. Born on third base. See, when they talked about Donald Trump being born on third base and how he acted, then you go right to the other side and see, quote, Gavin Newsom. If I didn't know any better, I think they hang out in the same clubs. Both of these men are highly successful. See, I said that at 7:41 tonight. Both of these men are highly successful, doing things their way. But they're white men. When I was trying to lead Local 1000, I'm still going to lead this union. They had a problem with that. We got a lot of spoiled people here in the country. It doesn't matter what color you are. You can be spoiled and be black or whatever. But when you destroy people's lives, when you show that level of disrespect in the highest level possible. Remember what I said earlier? Oh, I see a hand raised. Oh, let's go to Yolanda Williams. Go ahead, Yolanda.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, how are you?
Hanging in there.
Very
I just
good.
want to know, is there anybody that in Southern California that's willing to do something? I mean, because I want to protest, especially on this routine. I'm just like, I'm really scared. This is total disrespect. So, I know we all got that few people on Zoom, but Richard, can you talk to your Facebook people and ask them if there's anybody in Southern California that's willing to do something that is around Long Beach, Boardwalk area, somewhere, because I need more people to just be out doing the signs and stuff like that, but I need more people.
So, everyone on Facebook, Yolanda Williams has asked, she's willing to protest this situation with the Juneteenth. And she's asking anybody on Facebook, if you want to text out to me in the Southern California, the LA, Norwalk, that area down there, she's willing to work with you. Here's what I would say to Yolanda and to everyone else. They're trying to run me out of this union. And I've asked people to rally behind me and follow my lead. Some people have, many people haven't. Now, this Juneteenth really affects African Americans. But I'll try to show you the relationship to how it's going to divide our union. So this is not just a black issue. This is something that all other races can get behind. Remember, we're talking about a state-paid holiday. Everyone can use an additional paid holiday. Remember, they took the Columbus Day and one of the President's Days from us because we weren't willing to fight for it. Lack of leadership. Now, I know there's probably a number of white people who say, well, I don't know if I feel comfortable fighting for Juneteenth, Richard. I can respect that. But here's what I can really respect. Us coming together as a union to ensure that the voice of membership is not taken from them. Which means I need to be restored back to my position. Because that's what the voters voted for. That's what they voted for. And that's correct.
It's not going to happen. I mean, I mean, it's just, I need at least 6 or 7 people maybe.
So here's what I would say, Yolanda. I don't have 6 or 7 people right now. I don't know of 6 or 7 people down in LA area that's going to be willing to work with you. But here's what I will say. I'm going to do everything I can to beat this HR 1 charge or charges and to beat this lawsuit. So I can be put back in opposition with the powers of the president of the policy found bylaws before they illegally changed it. So we can do a protest. Remember what I said earlier, Yolanda? Anybody black that votes for this man is silly. Anybody black that votes on this next contract that doesn't state that Juneteenth will be an additional paid holiday is silly. And they don't love who they are. And they don't respect their ancestors. That's how you send a message. Now for white people who say, I'm not going to vote on this next contract because they took the voice from the union, Richard Lewis Brown, the person that won the election, is not leading the negotiations. And I'm going to vote no on that. Many people, regardless of their color, are going to vote no because 21% won't be there. GOP and COLA won't be there. The dignity clause will stay the way it is. It will not state that your dignity will no longer be controlled by Cal HR and that we'll be able to grieve every case up to arbitration. Those things will not happen in the next contract unless I'm meeting that contract. I'm not done on this Juneteenth, Yolanda. But I know a lot of people are concerned about their money. And I'm concerned about their money too. Because that's what I ran on. I didn't run on Juneteenth, I ran on money. But what I'm simply saying is this. What he did is a reflection of his prejudice towards black people. Because he doesn't even like his own white people. He doesn't even love them enough. So if a person doesn't even love his own group, how can you expect that person to go outside his or her group and love another group that has nothing in common with him? He won't. He doesn't. He will not do it in the future. In order to unify this union, we have to first ensure that the voice of membership is respected. And right now, Local 1000 is trying to remove the duly elected president because I'm an outspoken black man. And that's where the racial element comes into play behind the fact that I'm stopping the status quo and I'm fighting for money for all people, not just for black people, but for all people. They don't like that. They want to keep us racially divided, keep us financially divided. So it's going to be hard to get people to rally around Juneteenth. What we may be able to do, Yolanda, is get people to rally behind the fact.
Not just Juneteenth. I mean, I've been wanting to do the rally basically to say, put our president back in office. But I just not told me that, on this call that he said he's not going to sign it into law. So that's why I said that. But I've been trying to find people before this who see things so we could rally and say we want our president back in his seat. Or don't take our voices, don't silence our voices or something, but I can't find nobody. So it's not just the June 16th.
Yeah, great point.
It is, it's a lot of things, but the main thing is actually having you back in your seat. But I can't find nobody. And if I do it by myself, I can do it by myself, but I don't know how effective that will be.
So what I will say to you is this. More stuff's coming, Yolanda. And I'm not talking about it right now. Okay. But more stuff's coming. Trust me, you will know. You'll be one of the first to know. The Juneteenth. See, to be honest with you, Yolanda, I knew this governor wouldn't sign Juneteenth. He's too arrogant.
I didn't know. All these black people that work for the state, I didn't know.
But Yolanda, remember where we're from. Okay? Remember where we're from. I said California black people. I didn't say about black folks across the country. So black folks in California, they do things a little differently. And so to all the white people who are listening, you think that all the black folks do everything the same way. No, we do some things the same way. We have some shared culture coming from Africa. But black people in the South may do things a little differently than black folks in the West or black folks in the Midwest. But the black folks in the Midwest and the North and the South have more in common on a lot of different issues than those out West. Because those out West have interacted with other cultures. So we're going to get this done because the Juneteenth is directly related to the union. This is a slap in our face. And for all these prominent African Americans in the state of California to not say a word, to not question Gavin Newsom, that tells you that they've sold out. And I don't care who they are. And I respect Congresswoman Maxine Waters so much, you just don't know. And all the other African American leaders, I respect them. They had to pay a price to get to where they're at. But what I do know is this. They're not saying anything right now. That tells me a whole lot. That tells me a whole lot. That tells me that the party is dictating to you what they want you to say and what they don't want you to say. And anytime any of these black folks want to call me out and come on video or meet me anywhere, I'm always ready. I don't run from a fight. I run to the fight. Because this is a fight, this is a fire that Gavin Newsom has started. Like the white folks told me in Lassen County. They said, Richard, he started this nonsense up here. We know what we have to do to fight these fires every year. He's the one that made the situation worse than it had to be. And when I say to white people in Lassen County, you say, well, aren't there any black people up there? Not a whole lot. Lassen County is about 99% white. I don't care about that. You're Americans. I got elected by a lot of white people. And I'm fighting for their money. But I'm going to maintain my blackness too. And that's why I said earlier tonight to all the white people, be proud to be white. Be proud to come from Europe. And if you had a relative in your family that had slaves, okay. If you had a white person in your family who's deeply prejudiced or deeply racist, okay. But still be proud to be white. I'm not going to ask you to feel ashamed to be white. I don't want your kids being taught, well, you're white, you should be ashamed. No, what I want you to do, starting from this day going forward, is to treat other people outside the white community with the same love and respect that you have for your family. That's the righteous love inside of me, period. And all this critical race theory they're doing in schools, they mean well, but the message is not coming across correctly. Well, maybe if you establish Juneteenth, not just as a federal holiday, but to ensure that every state recognizes it as a paid additional day, to talk about why is this so significant, and why does it still matter today? And why are we still suffering today? Because of the fact that enslaved Africans were brought over. And when white people keep thinking to themselves, well, Richard, there was all kinds of slavery. You show me a slavery where a person is taken from one continent to another. Their names, their religion, their culture is taken from them. You can't show me that. And that's why the slavery in the Americas, particularly in the U.S., on North American soil, is so critical. It's so crucial. It's so different than all the other slaves, than all the other slavery, because the other slaves were not based on racial superiority. That's why it's called racism. And so a lot of white people on Facebook, when you try to say, oh, well, they had slaves in Rome, they was not basing that on race. The slaves in the Bible was not based on race. Why do I have to tell you this? Back to the Union. This is why I was elected. I wasn't just elected for money. I was elected for a lot of different issues because God knows the truth is in me and I will call it the way I see it. If a white person's being racist or prejudiced, I'll call you on it. If somebody within my own community is acting a fool, I'm going to call you too. And this ignorance by Gavin Newsom, and his ignorance is not even being talked about in the black community in this state of California. What the hell is going on? And these same black folks who attend church every Sunday, they say they're giving their life to God and they believe in God. Do you? Do you really believe in God? You're letting this man who happens to be white just run amok? If it was Donald Trump doing this, if he was the governor of this state, you would have a hissy fit. This does not build union solidarity. It doesn't. Because black folks are going to walk around mad as heck that Juneteenth was not a paid additional holiday. And they should be mad. And white people will be confused. Should I side with my black friends? Should I say, hey, I don't really understand. I don't want to call Richard because then I may embarrass myself. You're not going to embarrass yourself because white people in Local 1000, the embarrassment is you voted for somebody, a black guy, who you knew was proud to be black, but you said, I don't care because Richard will get me my money. And you know that now, white people in Local 1000, because they're trying to run me out of the union, and you're allowing them to do that. You're just sitting back and saying, well, I wish I could help. What do you mean you wish you could help? Don't quit your membership. Start there. Don't give up. You tell black people in America, stop complaining, stop crying, get up off of your ass and get a job and make it in this great country. That's what you tell black people, white people in America. Get up off your ass and do something. Fight. And so I say, don't stop believing. I agree with you. And so I'm fighting. Then why is the white people in this union just giving up? What kind of white people are you? Are you just state employees? So this image of us being lazy and shiftless and that we don't care and we don't have a work ethic, is that true? What kind of white people are you? I see how these black folks are getting down here in California, but I expected more from white people here in the state of California. What are you doing? You just going to let them run your president out? The person who's fighting for your money? You see how this so-called governor feels about black people. But that's a reflection on how he feels about other white people too, starting in Lassen County. Now look, I still love this country. Yeah, my family came over as slaves. Okay. Still love the country. Do we have some character flaws? Yes. Does that mean that I want to get high on crack cocaine and just throw my life away? Absolutely not. Does that mean that other African American men that throw their lives away off crack cocaine and other crimes, does that mean I'm going to judge them? Absolutely not. Does that mean that what Governor Newsom did by ignoring Juneteenth, that every white person is racist? Absolutely not. What I'm trying to figure out is, what kind of white people does Local 1000 really have? Are you just going to quit and give up? That's not the white people I'm accustomed to, coming from the state of Missouri. The white people I know don't give up. They say, we came over here, yeah, we may have made some mistakes, Richard. Can you please try to look past that? Let's go forward, because we ain't giving up nothing. We're not giving up anything, and we're definitely not giving up our guns, our licensed firearms, to protect ourselves. If you let somebody push you around and keep taking from you, you'll never have anything. At a certain point in time, you have to stand up. If you let these DLC presidents keep telling you these lies about me, when these DLC presidents don't want to address me on these Zooms, and then the truth comes out, they run. When they were telling you that, Richard won't go to these board meetings, he can make a difference. When that was an absolute lie, the board meetings are illegal. I'm holding to my integrity. And even if I had gone, those votes wouldn't have been any different. They can't even give you the roll call votes because everything's done in secrecy. And you heard Mr. Randall tonight talk about how the CalPERS board tries to do all those meetings in secret because they're doing things that are not right, not in the best interest of the working people. I have never lied to you on anything. That's why they're trying to run me out this union. Me being black doesn't help the situation any. But I just can't understand for the life of me why white people in this state are just going to roll over and let their voice be silenced. A lot of white people voted for me to be in this position. And they're just going to sit back and let this happen? What's your excuse? The white people I know don't give excuses. Anyway, well, today was an interesting day. To do a quick wrap up, today is October 25th, 2022. I'm Richard Lewis Brown. We talked about Randall running for the retiree seat on the CalPERS board. He's in a runoff with Yvonne Walker. She didn't get the 50% or more. No one got 50% or more of the vote. So he's in a runoff. The ballots who are retirees go out sometime soon, and the time period is November 4th to December 4th. They can call in, they can mail their ballots in, they can do it online. I was talking about Gavin Newsom being prejudiced, not finding black people as being his equal. I meant what I said. I put it up on Facebook, I put it up on Twitter. Why is there not an outcry from black people in this state? Because they sold out. Not all of them, but a large percentage of them, particularly those in leadership and powers of influence. They're not calling this man out. And I don't want to hear them say they're calling him out privately. No, you call him out publicly. Because if this was a white man in the Republican Party doing this same stunt named Donald Trump, you would have a field day. That's the hypocrisy of the Democrats in this state and in my own community. This does not build solidarity within the Local 1000. He could have easily signed it into law. He went against the head of the Democratic Party, President Joe Biden, who felt strong enough about giving respect to black people because he knows that's how he won his election. That's why he's sitting in the White House right now, because a lot of black people came to his rescue. All right, we're going to stop here at 8:04 tonight on August 5th, 2022. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully you've learned something tonight. And I'm grateful for everyone that comes on Zoom, for everyone that comes on Facebook. And even though it seems that it's only a small group of people and that we don't have a chance.
It's September.
Say again?
It's September.
I said October 5th, 2022. Today's October 5th, 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know it seems like it's only a small group of people on Zoom and a small group of people on Facebook. Let me tell you something. When I started campaigning to run for president of Local 1000 in 2015, or actually in 2014, it was a small group of people. And no one believed I could ever win. And that's why they're trying to run me out of office. And they're going to do every trick in the book to try to remove me from office. And I'm going to fight them every bit of the way. I'm not giving up. Those 2,637 voters who put me in this position, along with those who I've met after I was elected president, I'm not giving up on you. Because you have not given up on your family. So why should I give up on you? I won't. It's easy to give up. Anytime something of value is out there to achieve, you got to work to get it. Nothing of great value comes without a lot of hard work and dedication and loyalty and determination. Now, I thought that was the American spirit. And I still believe in that. And regardless of all the mistakes I may have made, regardless of all the mistakes that you make, regardless of all the mistakes that this great country has made in its pursuit of excellence, we are still the United States of America. Don't give up on your country. Don't give up on your family. Don't give up on yourself. And most importantly, don't give up on this union. All right. Mwah. Love you. Good night.